Another video on fermenting. So it's gooseberry crumble. I'm using tin gooseberries because I can't be bothered to prep gooseberries, and they're kind of quite expensive. So in the tin they're kind of quite inexpensive. That's the brand. I've put it in 3 kilos, net weight of 2.45 kilograms. There's a little bit of juice left in there. I always strain them of the juice, otherwise the crumble is always a little bit too wet. I normally take the juice from the bottom, all that juice in there, and I reduce it down and then add it back to the gooseberry crumble, so you kind of get more an intense flavour of gooseberry and a little bit of like sugar as well, so we don't like waste. But since I'm fermenting things, I was thinking the other day, I reckon we could ferment that juice, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm at work, it's gooseberry crumble at work, but that juice is coming home with me, and we're going to add some of my homemade collected yeast. I'm going to see if it ferments. I'll stick my finger in. Stick my finger in there. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I'm not going to add any sugar. I don't think it's too acidic to kill the yeast, so we'll see. It should ferment, and that'll be kind of quite interesting. The place that I buy these gooseberries from, they did tell me that someone had bought a load and they were having to go making gooseberry wine out of it. So if someone else thinks it's possible, I think it's probably possible myself. So we'll have a go and we'll have a look at it tomorrow. And also, while we're here, I'm going to do the same with some peaches. So peach dish tomorrow. So what I'm going to do is peaches come in a light syrup. I normally do the same with the peaches. I normally drain off the syrup, reduce the syrup, and then add it back to the peaches. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to save the syrup. I'm going to see if we can ferment that as well, because that'll be kind of quite interesting. But there we go. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to collect those, collect that, take them home, and ferment them at home. Because I don't really think people want to see me fermenting things at work, because I don't know, people don't like that type of thing. But it's a home project, so we'll do it at home. So I've strained the juices just to kind of get any sediment out of them, and there's still a little bit of sediment in because it's like, and the cloth that I filtered them through is not not that good a filter, but obviously it's kind of quite a thicker liquid. So that's the gooseberry, that's the peach syrups, and then I've got some of my homemade yeast, which I've strained as well, just to get rid of all the excess bits. The more yeast you put in, the quicker the start of the fermentation process. But also, the more you put in, the more, because I made it from grapes, it's going to have a different flavour to it. So I don't put as much yeast in, and then I'm more likely to get like just the peachy fermentation, rather than like some grapey fermentation in there taste as well. Does that make sense? Yeah, so I'll get it out. The grapes, where I've got them, like that. So, let me see, ish. So, I need to put some more grapes in there. And the lid's not on properly, which is good because it needs to breathe. So, there's a flavour profile to that. And the more flavour, the more of that you put in, the more it's going to affect the flavour. So I don't put that much in. It's just going to take a longer time to start fermenting, but not that much longer. And then the airlocks go in. I've lost the plastic caps for the tops of these airlocks, so I've just put over a bit of cloth and secured it with an elastic band. So then those go in there. It needs to be a tight seal around the bottles. I have found this out. It's important that there's a tight seal because it's an airlock, so it needs to be airtight, and then the gas comes out through the airlock, and then nothing can get in. Hence why it's got that on the top, so no flies can get in the top of it or anything like that, or anything can fall into it. So we'll see how we go. I did put a little bit of liquid in with the syrups because I thought it was a little bit viscous, a little bit thick. So I just kind of thought that maybe I'll just put a little bit of liquid in there just to thin it down slightly. But it's all sterilised. I haven't heated and sterilised the liquids because I kind of thought they come out of a tin. therefore they're always sterilised. The only thinking about that, although the apple one worked. So I was fermenting some juice from some tinned apples, which is going quite well. It's this one here. So there was obviously some sterilisation kind of going on with the in the canning process. They obviously had some kind of additives to it. I'm not sure what those additives are. Sorry, the washing machine's going. So there are some kind of additives in the canning process. I don't know if that's going to have an effect on the fermentation process. It's going to kill the yeast or anything like that. There might be like an antibacterial in that. I don't know. We'll have to find out. But the carrots worked. No, the apples worked. So I can't see why these won't work. If they don't work, that's fine. We'll just throw them away. We haven't lost anything. It's not cost me anything. It's just a bit of fun, and then we'll kind of see how it turns out. And then I might see how. Use a bit of an experiment and see how it turns out after a few days. When it starts to really kind of bubble, we'll kind of see if we can drink it and it's fizzy. It won't be out. There'll be a little bit of alcohol in it at that stage. What basically happens is the yeast that you introduce to a liquid or foods starts fermenting. It breaks down the sugars. It produces carbon dioxide and alcohol. The carbon dioxide kind of bubbles out of it, and then when you get to a saturation point that the yeast has turned the liquid into alcohol, and the alcohol has got to a certain strength, it actually kills the yeast that's in the making the alcohol. So it kind of produces a thing that kills it in the end. It becomes to a saturation point where the alcohol kills it, because an alcohol is a preservative, along with sugar and salt and acid and other things as well. And that's why. And so, like the collected yeast from this that I've collected, it'll probably get to about 5-6% alcohol. I can't imagine it'd be anything more. You can buy proper brewing yeasts which go up to high percentages, but this is just something I've collected out of grapes, and I reckon it'll probably get to about 5%, something like that, because you don't actually know what yeast strain or yeast type you've actually collected. I think it will be a pretty standard yeast that I've collected, because it smells the same as when I did it before. It has a similar kind of taste, has a similar kind of smell. So I presume it's the yeast that I've collected before, and it was from grapes, whereas scientists have separated out different types of yeast, and some of these yeasts have different characteristics and kind of produce are better for different kind of brewing processes. Some are better for beer, some are better for wine, some are better for cider, some are better for sparkling, and all that kind of stuff. They're separated out. I haven't done that. I don't know what yeast I've got. I've just collected a yeast, and it ferments things. So, but I think if we're doing things at home, it's something we can do very cheaply, and we don't have to get things too complicated by buying yeast or buying specialized equipment. We can just get some bottles from wherever, and some airlocks, or we don't have to use airlocks. We can just get some old balloons. Buy some balloons, put the balloon over the top, put a hole in the balloon, a pinprick, and then what happens? That acts as an airlock, because there is sufficient pressure in the balloon as the carbon dioxide is released off, that it stops air from getting in through the pinprick, but there's enough air escapes that it's not going to build up too much pressure and explode the containers, that type of thing. So yeah, that's why you also have airlocks as well. So you don't have to burn them every day, or you can put them in something like, you can ferment things in something like that that's got one of these snap thingamajigs, but you just have to ferment it closed like that, so nothing can get in. And every day you just do that, release the air pressure, and hey presto. But you don't have to do that with airlocks, or if you're using the cheap alternative, which is balloons. But I'm waffling, which I always do, but I always kind of think it's important to know these things, and I'd want to know these things. So if I was watching this video, I hadn't made this video, and I was watching this video, I kind of want to know that information. So that's kind of why I probably waffle a little bit too much, but I think it's information that you kind of quite know, and once you know the information, you understand it, and then you can understand why things happen, why things go wrong, and then you can also, and then it kind of like, you can go, oh, that happens. I wonder what happens if we do this, and it leads to experimentation and more knowledge and knowing a lot more about things. But anyway, so I'm waffling. There we go. We'll see how these are in a couple of days. Right, a day later, and we're starting to ferment. I don't think we'll be able to catch a bubble, but there's growth there. Well, that's, there we go, it's going to go as that. So there's bubbles on the top of the liquid, and then that's going to, why don't you want to focus on that? You know, the bubble's going to go, it's going to go soon. There we go. Definitely fermenting, so that's fine. Don't know, so we'll see how it goes. I might, we'll just let it carry on fermenting and then see what it kind of turns into. But it certainly works. So that means we could turn something into something fizzy, like a fizzy drink. There we go. That's definitely fermenting, and that's that one moved. That's definitely going as well, isn't it? That's almost going as well. It doesn't want to focus. Goodness only knows why. I'm not thinking of that. Into that. Although it doesn't look like it's got much going on the top of the liquid, it's certainly reducing carbon dioxide. It's going to show that you can take the juice from tinned fruit and you can ferment it. So that opens up all kinds of possibilities, doesn't it? Well, you can turn lots of things into alcohol. Will it then turn into vinegar? Not too sure. I'm not too sure. Will it become fizzy, like a drink, like ginger beer? Possibly. Come on, you almost there. I know you want to. So that's slowly fermenting, but there we go. So they're working. That's fine. We'll see how they turn out. Now you want to focus. We'll see how they turn out in a couple of weeks. Right, so update on fermentation. The what was it? Gooseberry. The gooseberry's going nuts. It's quite warm today though, but like look at that, and it's really fizzy. So I'm gonna do it. I did it last Friday. It's Thursday. No, I did it last Saturday. Took a couple of days to get going. It's been going about a week now. No, not a week. 5 days. Yeah, it's Thursday today. Started it on Saturday. 5 days, 6 days, something like that. That's the peach juice. That's going crackers as well. This is the what do you call it? It was the pear syrup. It's still going as the pear syrup. Oh no! I was thinking the apple stopped, but it's still going a little bit. It's just really slowed down. So that was the juice from the apples. That one there. So I'm kind of quite curious. So I think I'll just carry on with the two ones from the lot. Yeah, and the side is going. The apple from the apple juice, the cheap apple juice is still going as well. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to let those older ones carry on turning into alcohol. Or do I want to have a tasting? Quite fancy having a tasting. So these two new ones, the peach one and the what we call it. I'm pointing with my fingers when my fingers aren't even there. So this one and this one, they're kind of quite young, so they won't be that alcoholic, and they'll be kind of quite fizzy. So I'm really kind of wanting to kind of taste them to see if they are fizzy to drink. And then for doing that, we might as well have a bit of a taste test of the other ones to see if it tastes alcoholic or it tastes a bit fizzy. If it's fizzy, it just means that it hasn't kind of ended its fermentation. But I'm just kind of quite curious because the ginger beer that I made in this fermentation faffing around that I'm doing at the moment, it's nice. It carries on fermenting in the fridge, so it gets a little bit fizzy. It's kind of quite nice, but it's not very fizzy. and I was kind of thinking I probably need to leave it for longer. So I'll pause, put the camera in position, and we'll have a taste of this. We shouldn't really kind of do it because it's a sterile environment in there, and if we take the top off, we're going to let potentially let bacteria into there, and it might spoil it. But I'm only faffing around, and I'm kind of quite curious. So we'll pause, and then we're back, and we'll have a bit of a taste. Right, I'm not going to be too bothered about using separate glasses and all that kind of stuff. I'm just wanting to give it a taste. So it might be horrible. It might actually be horrible, but we'll never know unless we have just a quick kind of idea. And then if it's fizzy, to the taste, it's kind of quite an interesting thing to do and be able to use that knowledge somewhere else in the future. So this is the gooseberry. So it's quite a heavy syrup anyway, even though I strained it. So it kind of tastes quite thick. You describe it as it's got a mouth feel to it. So that's kind of quite interesting. If that was cold, I'd chill that down and I'd drink that, and that would be lovely. So that's kind of quite interesting. So whereas I've always done things with the juice from tins of tinned fruit, used it somewhere kind of else, reduced it down, added it back into dishes, added it as like an extra level of flavour and sugar. This is kind of quite interesting that we can take things. See, that's kind of quite thick, so maybe not so nice a type of thing to kind of drink. Maybe not that pleasurable, but this is the peach. That's really nice. Yeah, it's kind of lost that. It's become more peachy in flavour. It just tastes sweet. When you taste it, it just tastes sweet and a little bit of peaches. But through the fermentation process, what we've done is we're starting to convert the sugars into alcohol. So we've kind of lost a little bit of sweetness, and because of that, we've kind of gained a little bit of it's kind of watered down. Yeah, so it's not sugary, and and that's emphasised the peachy kind of flavour. So that's kind of quite nice. It's not. It's a bit thick. It's a bit thick. So that's probably down to the slight, because it's not thick through sugar. I imagine it's thick through. What's the ingredient? It's thick through. Oh, okay. So it's got glucose fructose syrup in it, and acidity regulators. Ah, right. Okay. So that's probably where it's getting like the kind of thick mouth feel. That doesn't sound particularly good, but it gives you like a velvety kind of flavour feeling in your mouth. Okay. Okay. So that's pretty. So it's probably like the peach, a little bit of the peach kind of like pulp, and the fructose syrup that's making it kind of a little bit thick. Same with that as well. So I think that's nice of that. I think, yeah, that's nice. So we've got a little bit of a problem with this one because a load of the yeast has wanted to come to the top. So it's a little bit. When I moved it, I disturbed it. So, so let's just pull it out. Yeah, so the yeast came up to the top. So, but it's still fermenting. It's still fermenting. So you can see it's a bit cloudy. That's still kind of really quite sweet. That'll probably kind of, it's nice though. It's lost that kind of, it's lost some of its sweetness. That's kind of quite nice. That's kind of quite nice. I do take that peach syrup and I add sugar to it and I turn it into a syrup for an old-fashioned cocktail, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful because it's got the flavour of the peaches and the lemon and the spice as well, and it works really well in an old-fashioned cocktail. Especially if you use, well, it improves like a cheap whiskey, makes it a nice cocktail. But if you get like a proper rye, it makes a really nice old-fashioned. With some whatchamacallit in, with some like some good bitters, right? So this is the apple. It's still fermenting a little bit. It had slowed down. I thought it had stopped, but as it's warmer today, it's obviously started up the fermentation process again. Yeah, I can still see bubbles coming up. So whereas I thought it would have stopped fermenting after this time, it hasn't. It carried on fermenting. But anyway, so let's have a taste of this. That's definitely alcoholic. That's kind of, that's interesting. That's interesting. It tastes of apple, but it tastes like a really fresh kind of apple flavour to it. So that's kind of quite interesting. So that's just really interesting. Like, I've had a go at making mead and I didn't think too much to it. I'm burping because of the bubbles. But these are a lot more interesting, considering, well, that one's not from tin, but considering these three are from tinned fruits, which I've strained off the juice, put it through a sieve, get out any lump bits, and then fermented it. It's made some really interesting drinks. Yeah, that's kind of quite interesting. I don't know if to. I'm kind of thinking that maybe that I want to leave these two as drinks. I don't know if I want to turn them fully into alcohol. If I want to kind of leave them at that kind of this stage of fermentation and have them as like a drink to have over ice in the summertime. Because I think once they're chilled, I think they'll taste even nicer. But yeah, so that's really interesting. I mean, you'd normally just strain off the liquid from tinned fruit, throw it away, but you can ferment it and it makes something really kind of quite delicious. So that kind of ticks all the boxes for me, does that? Something that is essentially a waste product that you wouldn't, I suppose if you're using the tinned fruit to make a fruit salad, something like that, you'd use the syrup as a base for like a fruit salad. Normally people make fruit salad anymore, but you kind of understand what I mean. But ordinarily you would just drain that juice off and throw it away, but you can ferment it and it makes something really interesting. And it's not going to be, they're slightly thicker drinks, so it's not like, mind you, it's only like having a glass of cordial, isn't it? So I've got some more cordial in the fridge, not that fridge, in this fridge. So this is the cherry cordial that I made, and it's kind of quite thicker. And some drinks are a little bit thicker, aren't they? I mean, you add water to them, and then it kind of thins them down. But some drinks are, what kind of drinks am I thinking of? Yeah, well, I suppose if you're okay with drinking something like a smoothie or a mango lassi, or a milkshake, they're all drinks that are kind of like a little bit thick, aren't they? Or if you were to make like a milkshake or a lassi, they are thicker, aren't they? And you would drink them and you would consider them to be nice. But it's not like drinking water. and it's not like drinking cider or something like that, but really interesting. I think that one's a little bit too. I think the peach, the pear syrup is a little bit too sweet to kind of have as a drink. The ginger beer kind of lost a little bit of its sweetness because I don't like really kind of quite sweet drinks. But I do like a little bit of sweetness to them. I'm waffling. That's just kind of quite interesting. So what I'm going to do. I'm going to go swimming tonight, and I've got a busy day tomorrow. So if I leave them another day to kind of ferment, we'll kind of see. But I might just bottle them and drink them as is, because they're kind of quite interesting. But there we go. So that's happened. It's obviously got a little bit too excited and burst its way up through the airlock. So I can carry on fermenting it, it'll turn into alcohol. Well, it'll become more alcoholic. And I don't think I want to do that. I think I want to have it as a like a cold drink, like a ginger beer type of thing. Same with the peach juice. So they're both really kind of quite fermenting kind of quite heavily at the moment. Can you see the bubbles? Yes, you can just see the bubbles coming up through there. You can't see the bubbles coming up into there, but it is pretty active. So I think I'm going to have them as cold drinks. So I'll take the airlock out. We'll put a lid on. We'll put a cap on them, and we'll chill them, and then we'll kind of see what they taste later on tonight when I'm back in from work, and it's cooled. Right, they've been in the fridge, and the peach one's still fermenting, even though it's been in the fridge. So it must be fermenting at a fair old rate. Like the bubbles kind of coming through really kind of quite quickly. That's kind of quite interesting. So got glasses, got a bit of ice. Let's have a taste. Let's do this one first. Let's do the peach first. It's nice and cold. Might have to put a lid on it, and then it might kind of build up a bit of pressure, and then kind of bubble a bit, which might be kind of quite interesting. It's thick, so I don't know if that's going to be nice to drink. But it's not fizzy, but it's probably because it needs to build up pressure. So maybe if I put a lid on it, it'd build up a bit of pressure. But I'm learning as I go. It smells a bit alcoholic. It's fizzy when you drink it though. It's really interesting. It's really interesting. It's got a slight taste of alcohol to it. What am I going to do with that? What am I going to do with that? It's just not as sweet, and it tastes a little bit more like alcohol. So, I don't know. Let's try this up. Let's try the gooseberry, which is a complete mess, as you can see, and it's taken off. So let's clean the lip. That's just a bit congealed. It's not anything harmful, is that? There's no kind of bacterial growth or anything like that. It's just where it's spilled over and thickened up. Let's get some kitchen roll. Just clean that up. So, curious about this from a separate glass. Oh, it's gone thick. Ah, okay. Is that why it bubbled up? Because it's gone thick. Ah, okay.
Yeah, something's happened where it's thickened up. Let's give it a move around and pour a bit more out. I don't want to disturb the growth on the bottom, but it's thickened up. I wonder why. That's interesting. So it's kind of thickened up. If anything, I kind of thought it would have. It's gone a bit gloopy, so that's obviously why it's foamed. But if anything, I would have thought that it was thick because of the sugar in it, and as the yeast breaks down the sugar, therefore it wouldn't be as thick. Oh, okay. So yeah, it's got a lot thicker than it was. So I don't know what to do about that. It's got a little bit of an alcohol kick to it. A little bit of an alcohol kick to it. I don't know. It ferments and it turns to alcohol. Maybe. So this is mostly me waffling. So this is the one from the peat. This is the one from the peat. From the pear, and it's starting to get like a bit of debris at the top here as it ferments. So I don't know if that is the same that's happened to that, but it's just a lot more prevalent. But it's gone a lot thicker, so I don't know what to do. Is it nice enough just to drink at this stage? It's still fermenting kind of quite rapidly. It's not kind of thick when you drink it though. It's like a little bit fizzy. It's quite sharp. It's lost a lot of its sugar content. I don't know. Do I want to drink that and have it in the fridge and have it as a drink? That's the kind of question, isn't it? That's the question we're asking ourselves. It's going to be difficult because it's thickening up. It's going to be difficult to kind of carry on fermenting it because it's going to want to bubble. And then I don't know what kind of the outcome kind of is of it. Well, it's kind of interesting though, isn't it? The peach is nice. I'm going to keep the peach as a drink. That's nice. It's how old is it? It's about a week old. Is that so? A week of fermenting the peach from juice from the tinned peaches is nice. I'm going to keep that as a drink. I'll give it one more go. So it's like gloopy. Oh, let's get a spoon. Let's get a spoon so you can kind of see. So get rid of the ice. So it's gone like that, which is dubious consistency. You know, I'm not going to say, but it's but when you drink it, it doesn't taste like it doesn't like the consistency. It doesn't taste like that consistency type of thing. That's not what I'm kind of trying to say. It doesn't taste thick when you're drinking it. No, I think I'm going to leave that one as a drink as well. Yeah, so I'm going to leave them as drinks. There's a little bit of sediment in the bottom, so I'm going to put some what we call it. I'm going to put some stoppers in, and then it won't call it. And then there's a little bit of sediment in the bottom, which we'll collect once we've drunk all the juice, and then we'll do something with that sediment in the bottom. But yeah, it works. It ferments. It's an alright tasting drink. I'm not that fussy about things. I'm not like some people would put off the consistency, but I'm not put off about anything like that. It's more about the taste for me. And I think that would be kind of quite nice to have a drink on a night time. But there we go. We can ferment those juices.